First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And today we are going to be talking about the IPO for Everything Fresh. Tell us about that deal and how it's coming on.
Uh, Exciting. I mean, IPOs bring great excitement, but this one is another one of those great Jamaican stories. It's truly a Jamaican entity that started with a good family, with the eye for entrepreneurship and delivery to our golden child sector, the tourist industry. They import food items, seafood, dairy, meats for that sector. They've also expanded in terms of distribution to beyond hotels to the supermarket chains as well. So Everything Fresh is something that I believe the average Jamaican can relate to. It's a solid company with solid principles, which are really the values we look for when looking at to list a company. And we see a lot of growth for the company, which then transcends for growth for our economy.
Now, Everything Fresh is trying to raise 390 million Jamaican dollars on the market. What are the prospects of that happening?
We feel strongly that it's the prospects and the reaction thus far has been overwhelming. So we do expect not only to hit the 390, we expect that we might exceed that 390. They have a strong name, a strong key partners. It says a lot when the people you do business with believe so much in you that they are going out of their way to invest in you, recognizing that their future is tied to theirs.
Okay, now the market, the stock exchange people, the principles of this stock exchange, particularly Marlene Street Forest, is very bullish on, the junior market in particular. Does stocks and securities feel the same way about the market, and do you plan to be more aggressive? You have done less than 10 listings overall.
Well, SSL has taken the stance that if we're going to list a company, it needs to be something that we believe in, something that we would take an interest in, firstly. So we are looking for solid companies, solid principles, and longevity. So if we're bringing a company to the market, it's not just to say we're doing a transaction. It's really something that we do believe will do well long term. Capital markets on a whole, we have been very involved in, maybe not so much the IPOs, but I can say during that time we've done a lot of exempt distributions. So there's been a ton of activity in the space, whether it's through equity or debt. And we do plan on continuing to be way more aggressive in that space as well.
Are there any exogenous matters impacting on the market now? You're in the market. What about situations in the US, for example, when interest rates go up or down, or when there are some political things happening in that market? How do they impact our market?
I think we're seeing the increase in companies looking to come to, or rather investors looking to invest in IPOs, in corporate debt instruments, because interest rates have changed. Bond prices have gone so far up that investors aren't getting the returns that they seek. So they're looking for alternate investments. The IPOs and these exempt distributions provides them an alternate to the bond market, to the equity market. The equity market has had such a long run, especially in the United States, that there's always a concern every other week you hear about the market bubble. So we highly encourage diversification of the portfolio because there's no timing of market.
Now, the market. Many young entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs have an aversion to borrowing from the banks. Is the market in the state now where young entrepreneurs who at the micro and small business level can get equity to push their business rather than debt?
Well, I can say from where we sit at SSL, we see entrepreneurship being a factor and growing, especially amongst the entrepreneur in his 20s or 30s. You know, they are aggressively seeking a future, a lifestyle that they see and believe they can get through this vehicle. I wouldn't say they have an aversion to going to the bank. I think they just realize that the banks don't necessarily lend to them. So we do see some bright sparks in the industry, and hence we have started a division which we shall continue to build out called SSL Ventures, in which we look for bright young entrepreneurs who are running companies who we bring to the value of creating structure for them. They're not at the stage yet where they can go for an IPO, but for them to understand how to run a structured business, understand the financials, build out a board, put corporate governance around them to prepare them to grow potentially into an IPO or other avenues.
That's an interesting concept. And listening to you, I would describe it as a mentorship department. When was that set up and how is it going?
I would say our first target was from last summer, and I can see it's going amazing, to be honest. It is a bit of mentorship, a lot of mentorship, but I think that's also a perk. It reminds you of probably where you started, and it took someone to carry you along and teach you as well. And it's a good refresher for those of us who have passed that stage, you know, what it takes. And it's encouraging to see the passion of a young entrepreneur.
Now, you're in a family-run business. How is it? A lot of confidence has been reposed in you. How so? Tell us about that journey.
Well, I've been with SSL for 6 years now, and I came in under the investment banking umbrella, and being the first non-cross-grade to head the ship. Yes, you're right. A lot of confidence has been placed, and I'm encouraged. I'm thankful. And I do see a great vision. I think because I share the vision and the passion as the founders, and even the founders, founding family, recognize that in order to grow, they cannot remain a family business. Did not start this year, it didn't start last year. This is a process that has been transitioning for quite a number of years, and we've now come to the point where if we're to grow in Jamaica and regionally, then one person cannot do everything, you know, and the mantle has been passed.
Yeah, well, that's a good lesson, really. Now, the regulations in Jamaica, you have had exposure abroad. How do you see our regulations, both at certainly at the investment level? How do these regulations compare with the regulations of the Securities and Exchange Commission, for example?
I would say regionally, we're probably the most sophisticated, but we're nowhere near the SEC as yet. Secure transactions are a lot more course of business there. So being able to execute and execute quickly is not necessarily an issue here. Certain gray areas of the law means that, okay, you have to work with your regulators to even build a structure and saying, here's precedents in another jurisdiction, and can we possibly apply this to Jamaica? So all this takes time, which can be positive because we do need to build out our capital markets and the structure around it. I know we often say, whoa, compliance, the cost of compliance, which is significant for any institution. But we do realize it's something that is necessary. It's necessary for the protection of investors and to protect the capital markets, which we've been able to create in this island.
You're watching Your Wealth, and I'm speaking with Lamar Harris, the CEO of Stocks and Securities Limited. Now, when we come back, I'm going to be speaking with Ms. Harris about new concepts such as Bitcoins, among others, to see how this could impact on our market, to see if it's feasible here and what's her thinking on it.